Bryan Roberts, and I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease when I was 30 years old. I'm 39 now, and I'll be 40 this upcoming May. Now, I think everyone handles being diagnosed with Parkinson's differently. I obviously was in somewhat of shock being so young, but honestly, it became clear to me right away I had two options. One would be to let the disease get the better of me, or my other option, and as I saw it, my only option, was to keep going. Live life as best I knew, as best as any 30-year-old knows, and keep moving forward. So conveniently, I was actually diagnosed in 2010, and here we are, a few days into 2020. A whole decade has passed. I thought this would present the unique opportunity, as we enter this new decade, to reflect on the last 10 years of my life with Parkinson's. What went well? What was more challenging? Maybe some lessons learned as now I move into my 40s, having had Parkinson's disease for 10 years. Now, a reasonable question to ask might be, hey, Bri, why do this at all? Well, I think for those of us who are diagnosed at a young age, or actually at any age, we want to know, how is this going to impact us? I'm on the patient council of the Michael J. Fox Foundation. I still work 70 to 80 hours a week as an associate dean at Ithaca College. I believe in going till I can't, and I hope that can part never comes. But when I was diagnosed, I tried to take a mental snapshot of everything I loved at age 30, and what my hope was I could continue to do that. Now, Parkinson's disease, I think, is viewed as a disease of diminishment, but I'm not sure it has to be. In many ways, my life is different, but in some ways enhanced too. But, I'm a social scientist. Let's break this down quantitatively, scientifically. Let's go to the Parkinson's scoreboard. Now, exercise is something that's always been part of my life, part of my day-to-day routine. But around 2014, my symptoms started to worsen a bit. I became more lethargic, got tired easier, and hence didn't work out as much. As you'll see in this lip sync compilation with my daughter Avery, I began to put on a lot of weight. Instagram, your Twitter.
I'm going on an aeroplane, and I don't know if I'll be back again. Sure enough, I sent the plane tickets, but when she came to kick it, things became different. Any girl I cheated on, sheets and skeeted on, couldn't keep it at home, thought I needed a knee alone. I'm trying to right my wrongs, but it's funny them same wrongs help me write the song now.
As I began to struggle with kind of just sitting around and putting on weight, people began suggesting different workouts for me, from yoga to non-contact boxing, back to yoga again. There were many suggestions. My answer was typically the same. No one should have to see me in tight yoga pants. But I knew I did have to get active, and I went back to the thing I've always loved to do, play baseball. I was always a very good baseball player. I've played it my whole life, and it was time to recommit myself to the game, and it worked. And that's how I lost the weight and fell back in love with physical activity.
Come on, spaghetti arm. What was that?
Similar to exercising, I've always really enjoyed working. I started my career as a college professor, and then came to Ithaca College as an assistant dean, and now I'm an associate dean. Not much has changed with my job. I still love it. I feel really lucky to work with the students I work with. My colleagues are excellent. I feel like I'm still able to perform at a high level, and I have the best fashion sense in higher education.
let's be honest, this decade wasn't all moonbeams and puppy dogs. I did have to deal with some difficult stuff. Nothing more so than perhaps the dissolution of my 10-year marriage.
Listen, I think marriage is challenging, but all relationships are challenging. And the key thing is you have to stay engaged and work at them. I don't think you get divorced, and listen, it is incredibly painful to get divorced. And it's all a waste if you don't learn something through it. So I think I have. One of the things I really did learn, and I learned a lot, some of that's probably too personal to share, to be honest, but one of the things I did learn was you need to communicate. Having a chronic illness is hard, and you can't expect people to be able to read your mind or expect people to really empathize or understand what you're going through unless you talk about it. I tend to kind of turn inward, kind of power through my day and not communicate. And that's not fair to a wife, to a partner, to a child. You really need to open up about the challenges you're going through, because people, if they love you, and hopefully they do, they want to help you. So, I think I struggled with that during my marriage. I mean, listen, marriage is dissolved for a lot of reasons, and Parkinson's was only a small part of it. But looking back at kind of what I went through and looking towards future relationships, that's something I'm really going to take with me. I need to be able to communicate how I'm feeling, what I'm going through, and have a partner who understands that and loves me for who I am and who I will be. And I think that's really all any of us could ask for.
If you think divorce is tough, try being a lifelong Mets fan. The Buddha once said life is suffering. He must have had season tickets. So when my daughter was born in 2011, I thought to myself, I said, Bryan, now's your chance. You could raise her to be anything but a Mets fan. But I just couldn't do it. Mets, I just can't quit you. So what was the final thing I was passionate about at age 30 that I still am? Well, I have to admit, it's life. I still wake up with a sense of purpose in the morning, a spring in my step, and a desire to be a better person than I was the day before. And I owe a lot of that to my daughter being born. Being a father has enhanced my life in an innumerable number of ways. It's given me a stronger sense of purpose, a conviction to follow through on daily objectives, and continued my silly love for life that I've really always had. Would my life be the same without my daughter? Possibly, but I simply can't imagine it. Whether you have a child or not, though, the important thing is to engage in life. Having Parkinson's is not a death sentence. It changes things, but as I'm learning, things are going to change anyway, so you might as well move with it. Having Parkinson's has given me a sense of perspective, an appreciation for the things we have, and for the things we could always lose. It hasn't been the best thing that happened to me, but it certainly hasn't been the worst.
Well, those last 10 years have been eventful. When I look back, I'd say now that I'm almost 40, I'm not too different from how I was when I was 30. And to be honest, I'm excited about these next 10 years. We'll come back again in 2030, and who knows where we'll be? Will we be living on the moon? Possibly. Will we have a cure for Parkinson's disease? Hopefully. Will the Mets have won a World Series? Unlikely. But you know what? 2 out of 3 is not bad. Well, my friends, have a great decade. I'll see you in 2030. Who knows where we'll be that time, but I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Stay well, be good to each other. I'm Bryan Roberts. Have a good day.